Well, John, thank you for joining me here in the spoiler room, such as it is, to talk about your new film. I'm excited when I heard that it was coming out. It's coming out, I believe, July 25th. Ouija Shark 2. Uh, now, you were involved in the first Ouija Shark. You wrote it and you starred in it. So if you wouldn't mind, I always like to get just from the director what Ouija Shark 2 is about.
Well, Ouija Shark 2 follows Anthony from the first movie uh, in uh, his desire to both track down and catch Ouija Shark, but also find a way back home because he did die at the end of the first movie. And so we had to find a way to bring him back. So he does some traveling through a hellscape at the beginning of this one.
Yeah, I was wondering how you were going to do that because I watched the first Ouija Shark when it first came out, uh, and I found it entertaining, charm. And this one, I just watched it last night. My review will drop this weekend, but I dug it. You like went to 11 with this one and like totally embraced the B monster film aspect of it. Is that what you were going for with this?
Yeah, it's almost what I'm always going for
Sure.
in some of the films that I've done. I grew up loving, 1960s, 1970s horror movies. When I was a kid, there was a channel that would show midnight horror movies.
Yep.
So even though I was only like 10 or 11 on a Friday night, I'd stay up and watch things like Horror of Dracula and Death Race 2000 and that does something to a 10-year-old mind.
Well, I think we're both from an age where we saw a lot of movies we probably shouldn't have at an age. It was not
Yeah,
appropriate.
yeah, for
Uh,
sure.
so what was it that made you want to make a second Ouija Shark film?
Well, I didn't have any actual intentions to
Mhm.
make or work on a second film. Um, I finished Creature from Cannibal Creek and I loved it. I didn't think it was sustainable to keep doing indie movies. I
Mhm.
retired and I went into reviewing indie movies for
Sure.
other people. I did that for a year, almost 2 years. And out of the blue, Wild Eye wrote me and said, would you be interested in doing the sequel? And it was a big surprise. And I saw it as an opportunity I needed to jump on.
And jump on it, you did. I just you surprised me at every turn with this film. In a good way. I love the spirit of it. It's and I think people, and I've had this conversation with a few other indie filmmakers too. I think people don't realize you are aware of the type of film you're making. You know what I mean? I mean, because some people, I think, they go into it going, "Oh, did you see this?" And I can't believe I'm like, you knew what you're making with a film. It's called Ouija Shark, for crying out. Well,
That's right.
I like the original title better. I like Ouija Shark versus Tarot Gator. I like
That's that's what I wanted. It had that real throwback quality, I thought. But I guess for marketing reasons, Ouija Shark 2 works just that little bit better.
because when I saw the title card, I'm like, I love that title. That title is that embraces what you're going for with this. And you do go bigger with this. I mean, we get a lot more Ouija shark, which I liked. I mean, you get a lot more shark action, but then you get into the Caldura character. Where did this guy come from?
Well, Caldura was. Um, have you ever seen those Rankin Bass Christmas specials?
Mm,
There's one with like Heat Miser,
yeah,
and Caldura is pretty much like a parody of Heat Miser, right? He lives in
yeah.
a hellscape and he dances and sings, and I don't know, maybe his heart will melt sooner or later, but not in this movie.
And not only that, he has his bikini ladies who he just keeps feeding the Ouija. What that's the one gimmick I loved. I'm not trying to spoil too much, but there's a gimmick you do with the bikini ladies that I just loved. I was like, how's that going to work in hell? And I'm like, oh, that's how that works. Okay, he just eternally keeps feeding bikini.
Well, it's like if hell is endless torture, that just happens to be their version of that
Yeah.
endless torture.
And your main character, Endless Torture, Anthony is going through his hellscape. I loved the outfit Anthony had in the hellscape. Where'd you find that outfit for the Anthony
That's
character?
like a pirate type costume that
Mhm,
I purchased online. The thing that's special about that costume is many years ago,
mhm.
I wanted to have a Zorro costume for Halloween, and my mother made a cake for it. Now, my mom's been passed away since 2016,
Mhm.
so to be able to use the cape that she made for this character, it was just a special thing.
That is awesome. Well, it completed the outfit too. I mean, it made
Yeah,
capes make people look badass, right? No matter what. Especially when you're
and it
fighting
brings
the
you
hell.
that little bit closer to like an Adam West Batman, because that's
Yeah,
kind of what I was going for.
yeah, yeah, I can see that. I can see him having that Adam West Batman feel to him for sure. That 60s Batman feel. That's my good friend. That's her Batman. It's like all the other Batmans out there, she's like, no, Adam West is mine. I'm like,
Yeah,
Keaton is
they're
mine, but
mine too.
West is a close second, close to the top, but Keaton's mine. But yeah, I loved how you were able to paint this world, and do it on a minimal budget because it had to be a challenge trying to come up with because you're working in magic, you're working in creatures destroying more buildings than at the end of Man of Steel. You know, I what kind of things did you do to help make this happen? Did you do crowdfunding? Did you?
No, no.
Oh,
The movie's funded by Wild Eye.
sure.
It's their movie,
Mhm.
and what I did was, first of all, when writing the script, you write something, then you stop. Can I really do it? If I can't, figure out something else. And then it took a year to make this movie,
Oh, okay.
partially because of COVID,
Mhm.
but also partially because, I mean, I wrote it, I made the puppets, I did all the special effects.
Wow.
Uh, so, like, you know, the movie is micro budget, obviously. And so the more I could do myself,
Mhm.
the more I had where, it was a small amount, but we were able to actually pay actors. And it's just something that I've always wanted
Mhm.
to do is, if there's a budget, I'd like to take care of the people working for me. And what I gave them doesn't take care of them. Let me get that straight. But it is at least a gesture towards what I would do if I had a bigger budget.
It and I'm sure working at indie film, they understand it. At least you're not going, "Yeah, but you'll get the IMDb credit. I can't pay it, but you'll get IMDb credit." So,
I
yeah,
have had to do that in the past when the
sure,
budgets were even smaller.
sure,
But
sure.
if we can do it, I'd like to do it right.
Sure. And speaking of your cast, you've got a great cast, a couple returning characters and new ones. Have you worked with a lot of these folks before, or I mean, besides just on the first Ouija Shark, or did you do some searching for cast?
Um, it was mostly people I've worked with before, um, partially because they're just great people to work with, and we're friends, and it seems like we're having fun, and it's just a nicer time. And but also, they're great.
Mhm.
Deborah Jane Riley Smith, I can turn loose with the script, and I know she's going to come back. She knows exactly what to do. She knows how to play it, and so there's not a lot of work there. And even other actors that maybe don't have as much experience
Hmm.
are all very game, which is, you know, that counts for everything at
Sure.
this level. You know, like you're excited and you want to try hard, good for you. We can do something with that.
Well, I imagine a movie like this too. You got to be on board. You're like, you know the title of the movie, so they know what they're getting into. So you don't you're not doing Shakespeare.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
well, it's got a spirit of Shakespeare, maybe a bit of a morality play in it, but you know, and I imagine you don't necessarily want someone going, "Oh, how should I play this? Should I do method or should?" You're like, "Just do it. We've got about 5 minutes left."
yeah, yeah. It Scheduling was tight,
Sure,
and
sure.
I do a lot of cuts, so
Mhm.
no one has to know a lot of lines for a long
Sure.
period of time. Some indie guys do it the other way, where there's long scenes where
Mhm.
the actor really has to know everything, and it comes out looking to me like a play rather than
Sure.
a movie.
Mhm.
And so I would rather do a lot of cuts, and and it's a medium shot and a close-up shot and then a wide shot, and so that it keeps things moving, but it also means the actors don't have to remember as much.
Right, or and you got coverage too, just in case they flub a line or something, you could just, "Oh, we'll take it from a different camera angle and
Right. Right.
work with it
The
that
one
way."
thing that drives my
Mm.
some of my sound guys crazy whenever we have sound guys, because sometimes it's just me, but when we have a sound guy, it drives them crazy that I run sometimes with two cameras at the same time
Oh, wow,
and
yeah,
get two
sure.
angles, sometimes a close up, sometimes a wide
Mhm.
at the same time, and they don't know where to put their boom mics.
Yeah, it's a little easier. I kinda know how that is. I do, like, 2 or 3 cameras when I shoot a podcast at work for our boss, and, I've got a number of cameras, but those are mics at least on the desk, so you know where they're at. But I imagine they're having trouble searching it out, so, I love the shark in this, and it seems like there even some improvement. You said you did the special effects yourself. Do you do a lot of
Yeah.
effects work, or was it kind of learning along the way, or
Um, Over the years, for a number of different movies that I've either worked on or put out myself,
Mhm.
I've been self-teaching
Sure.
as far as special effects go. And I have, outlets where I can get some free stock footage that I always incorporate. I mean, a lot of people at this micro budget level do that. And I always try to add something to them so they're not just pasted in that scene from,
Sure.
stock footage. I try to add a few things to it, but I mean, you do what you can, I guess.
Oh, well, yeah, you do with you make the most of what you have, right? I just
Yeah.
recently watched, I don't know if you're familiar with his work, Mark Polonia's. Yeah, he came out with a cocaine shark movie
Yeah, I
set.
watched it. I watched it the first day.
There's a guy who knows how to stretch a buck out of a film, I tell you.
What's really incredible about him, what's he do? Like four movies a year?
Right?
I don't know. I don't know how he can do it. It astounds me
Mhm,
because I do one,
mhm.
and it takes a lot out of me.
Well, because you're wearing a lot of hats, right? I mean, you're in front of the camera, behind the camera. You mentioned you're doing the post work. For the regular footage, did you do a lot of reshoots or over a couple of weekends, or how did the shooting schedule go for that for just the raw footage before you had to go in and play around and add the shark and such?
Well, we actually did it the other way around
Oh, you did?
because, yeah, because what happened was it was during COVID.
Sure.
So the first thing we shot was all the hell scenes because it was basically just me. And
Mhm.
then when we added the apes, I mean, I'm some of the apes. My son is some of the apes, and
I love the
and
apes.
together
Sorry.
together we're all the apes. So, and then once we were done all the hell scenes, and I did everything 100%, like all the
Mhm,
effects were done, and there were still COVID restrictions. So we're like, well, what can we shoot next? Okay, all the special effects.
mhm.
And so that's what got done first, and then we were lucky to start bringing people in one at a time
Sure.
to shoot other scenes.
Well, I mean, the compositing and green screen, I'm sure does help a bit because you could just shoot those individuals and then just kind of insert like the bikini girl mob that you have in here, or even the individual scenes with Cressida and the other talent. I think you cut around it well though. It works, especially as Ouija Shark goes on his rampage in hell. And then especially when we get the big confrontation near the end of the film too. Did you said you made the puppets yourself. Did you make them from scratch?
I did make them from scratch. I I, I didn't want. I've seen quite often in indie movies. There's a standard shark puppet that's
Sure. Yeah.
used a
Yep.
lot,
Hmm.
and there are converted toys that are used a lot, and there's obviously original stuff too.
Well, yeah.
But
Yeah. Mhm.
in my case, I didn't want to go with any of that. I wanted to go with something that that I made myself, and it helps the whole movie kind of looks a certain way because of
Mhm.
that, good or
But
bad.
no, I think it's good because again, the charm I think a film like this doesn't work if you take itself too seriously, and you don't do that. I hope you don't mind me saying, but it doesn't seem like you do. I mean,
Oh,
as
yeah,
I always tell people, you take it serious as far as putting it together, but you're trying to have some serious fun with it. You're not saying, "Oh, this is going to go up against Jaws, or this is going to go up
yeah.
against you know."
Not even Jaws 4.
Not,
Oh,
uh,
maybe Jaws.
maybe Jaws 4, maybe Jaws 3 might be pushing it. That 3D
Oh, for
effect.
sure.
What I did love your monsters is Interrogator. The Interrogator was a black. The minute Interrogator showed up, I just laughed. I smiled so much. Were you wearing the Interrogator outfit, or was that you? Or
They were puppets.
oh,
So
they were all
both
puppet. Okay,
both of them were puppets,
sure,
and my son and I, because again, COVID restrictions,
sure.
we set up the green screen in our studio and rolled around on the floor with puppets fighting, and we had a good time. So yeah, but so I'd say we both use both puppets depending
Sure.
on
Hmm.
scenes, and Terrogator was, let's just say, it wasn't the easiest puppet to manipulate. He
Oh, I
was
imagine. Yeah.
much heavier than the
Mhm.
shark, and it was hard to get a lot of movement out of it.
Mhm.
So we did as much as we could with him. But yeah, he's a bit of a pain. That
He looks good on camera. He went
good.
toe to toe with Ouija Shark. So, and again, it fit the overall aesthetic and the energy that you have for this film. And that's what I like is that stayed consistent as well. That it's just a little bit light on it, heartedness on it. But yet, I mean, you're doing like, not complete Doctor Strange stuff, but you're kind of doing Doctor Strange type of
It's a parody, It's
parody. Yeah, a little magic. Yeah,
it's like a little the dash of Doctor Strange and a little Adam Smith, Adam West Batman, and
sure.
a little
Got a
bit of this.
little bit of everything, including a musical number, which I have to ask. Eh, h- how long did it take to put this musical number together, and where did you come up with this song?
Well, what happened was I got to this point in the script
Mhm,
where I was a little worried about, just I knew how far I wanted to go,
mhm.
but I knew my script had to be okayed. So I was a little worried that, okay, I've already been kind of told, people like to find the humor in these low budget movies. They don't really want them to be genuinely funny. I went, oh, no, no. I want to do genuinely funny. And so in the script, it's like two lines of, oh, he sings a little song. And I just left it at that.
Sure.
But then I talked to Mike Treblecock, the composer,
Mhm,
and um, I talked to him about Rankin Bass and the kind of songs that they have, and I said I'd like to do kind of a parody of that, and These are some of the important lines or things that he
Mhm.
should say. And Mike just went away and recorded this song that was so funny in and of itself. I was like, yes, he totally got what I wanted. And then when we started to shoot,
Yeah.
um, it was once again during COVID. So we'd shoot, one bikini girl, even
Mhm.
though there were supposed to be three in the shot, and then I'd shoot the other ones separately and put them all together with green screen. And I was hoping for the best. So I'm glad I was able to color correct it so that they at least look like they were all supposed to be in the same place. And
Well, they do.
so
I will say they do all look like they're in the same room. I mean, you can tell it's special effects as far as the hellscape, but they all look like they're in the same room at the same time. So I think it worked
yeah,
well.
and none of them are, even in scenes where they're just standing next to each other, shaking their heads in unison. Oh, they were filmed separately.
So I
So
imagine a lot of the magic for Ouija Shark 2 was in your post production.
yeah, it's funny because I don't see it so much as post production because
Mhm.
some of it we did way at the beginning, and I like to start editing pieces together as soon as I get them. So
Mhm.
if I have a shoot and then it's a week before I can get actors together for the next shoot, I spend that week editing and adding special effects. And so by the time I add the last scene to a movie, I'm almost really done
Wow.
the whole thing.
That
Yeah.
is very efficient. I don't think I know many filmmakers that do it. Usually they wait till the end and then they go through everything. Although I imagine being shooting digital helps because you get your dailies back a lot quicker.
Yeah. Most
like
definitely.
instantly. So as far as are the scenes that you have in here with the newscaster, I really like doing the news and the people running around in that. I mean, I how do you plan for that, knowing you're on a small budget, to try to give the idea of a crowd and yet still work within your budget?
Yeah. It's I'm doing another movie right now
Mhm.
that it's easier to get people together now. So
Sure.
it's still not giant groups of people, but there is a lot more interaction,
Mhm.
which was really difficult
Sure.
during COVID. So yeah, we did the best we could with like whoever we had in the family, especially in the running around just showing feet. We were like,
Sure.
okay, we don't want to. If you look up, you'll go, hey, that's the guy from another scene, or you know,
Sure.
that's the director himself running around pretending to be. So, that was kind of our answer
Sure.
for that
Sure.
particular movie. If I had an opportunity to do bigger, I certainly would have.
Sure. Sure. Well, it works. It works. Like I said, movie magic, right? You can use the same people. Just we're just going to show your legs. Uh, some of those were great legs too. Like I was like, oh, okay, there you go. Yeah. Uh, so with Ouija Shark 2, the way it ends, I'm not spoiling it at all, but would you be open if they come to you for another Ouija Shark film?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
It was a lot of fun to do. And who doesn't want to play a superhero and fight monsters? And I mean, like people can say whatever they want about this movie. Like you say, most people have that understand this is made on a micro budget. We understand where this is coming from. It's Ouija Shark for Pete's sake. That we know what it's supposed to be here.
right.
So if you're coming at it from the right angle, you got to know I'm having a blast doing it. And yeah, sure I'd do another.
Everybody seemed to be having a blast while doing it. And that's what I always love is when that comes across on screen, you can just tell everybody's having fun. They all know, as the kids say, they all know the assignment. They're all in, and everybody is just rolling with it. Especially your Caldura. He was really trying to chew up the scenery, I think.
Simon Wielden, who plays Caldura, is an old friend of mine
Sure.
that I've known long before I ever started making any movies. We're both teachers at the same school. I'm a
Oh,
retired teacher, and he's still a teacher. And when he came, he gets a whole different level of direction
sure.
than everyone else because we know each other so well. And we're so,
Right.
and yeah, well, a scene will end, and I'll say, "The hell was that? Come on, up here!" Right? And obviously that's something special when you can be like. I think of it as that must be how Sam Raimi treats
Oh,
Bruce
Bruce
Campbell,
Campbell.
right?
Yeah.
He must be like on a whole different level than
They,
any of the other actors and director together, right?
yeah, no walking on eggshells with him. It's just you just come right out and say, man, that sucked. What were you thinking, man? Nah, nah, you're doing that again. Okay.
He's
Reset. We're
great.
doing it again.
And it's funny because in the next movie I made a paranormal dinosaur movie. So
Ooh,
that's the next one that's coming out by me. That one's already finished. Wild Eye has it. Hopefully they'll be announcing it soon. But I made him the villain again. And then he was like, "Oh, I'm the villain again." I went, "Yeah,
yeah.
of course you're the villain again. You're good at it." And now I'm on the third film
Sure.
since Ouija Shark, the third
Mhm.
one in a row, I
Yeah.
guess. And he's the villain again. He goes, "Well, wait a second, you're typecasting me here." And I went, "You're good at it. Just suck it up."
Stick to your strengths, man. Stick to your strengths, right? Was there a particular scene that you thought was going to be a challenge that actually ended up coming together like real easy for you?
Um, I, I, I don't know. I would
Mhm.
say that like I'm an anxiety guy.
Oh, okay, sure.
So
Mhm.
I would probably say I'm anxious before every single shoot
Sure.
and very thankful when it works out the way it's supposed to. So I'd say that's kind of the norm
Sure.
for me.
Sure. Because I always like asking that question because usually it's, well, what's the most difficult one? So it's like, what was your most scene that just flowed so well together? And the film does flow well together. I had a lot of fun. What would you say your favorite monster film is then? Since you're making monster films, you seem to be doing having fun with it. What would you say was probably your most influential one?
I love Destroy All Monsters. That's
Oh,
probably my
yeah.
favorite of the Godzilla films.
Hmm.
But I also heavily drew from and loved like King Kong versus Godzilla, the 62.
Sure, sure.
It, it's so fantastic. And if you want one a little more modern, uh, Godzilla Final Wars
Oh
is
yeah.
nuts.
Oh,
It's nuts, and it's so much fun.
I
So
I loved Final Wars. I think my favorite part of Final Wars was them taking a dig at the 98 Godzilla of Zilla
yes,
to where everybody else gets a pretty hefty battle with Godzilla, but not Zilla. Zilla is running rampant in Australia, and OG Zilla shows up. He grabs him, throws him in the opera house, burns him, and done. It's like 5 seconds. That whole scene,
yep,
the whole scene, the whole
yeah.
battle's like 15 seconds total.
I've heard it described as a bitch slap. That's basically what he gives them, and it's over.
It was like Toho saying, "Yeah, no, this is what we think of your Godzilla."
But the villain in Godzilla Final Wars,
Oh yeah.
so over the top, so like every scene, arms flailing, jumping up and down. That guy's great.
Oh yeah. What's your feeling on the legendary ones? I got my a vinyl over there, Godzilla versus Kong. What do you feel about the new ones? Do you like the new monster films?
Yeah, I like them. They look great. I would say the biggest drawback for me as a fan of the older movies is
Mhm.
they take themselves very seriously. I
Sure.
think there could be some room for a tree in a monster's mouth or
Yes.
you know
Or flying tail Godzilla, where he jumps
yeah,
and he flies on his tail to drop kick a monster.
a little
I
dance at the end when he
Yeah.
wins.
What do you
Why not?
why not? Throw that in there. Why don't you? Though I think, Godzilla King of the Monsters though had a little more fun. I really liked the so much throwback that they did with that. They did that one right. I loved that one
Yeah. Well,
quite a
they're
bit.
great. Don't get me wrong. They're
Yeah.
great. I love them.
And I just love how they made a comeback because, we for a dry spell you didn't have them, and then they've slowly worked monster films back. I love Pacific Rim. I mean, I like them both
Yeah.
actually, but I really enjoyed Pacific Rim, and then, just seeing the monster movies come back. Because the technology's there, we should have them because they're fun, I think.
Yeah. We owe Guillermo del Toro a lot
Hmm.
because here's a guy that is gonna reinvigorate animated films and make them different than, let's say, how Disney or Pixar makes
Right.
them. And he gave us Pacific Rim. I even got to be in the vampire TV show. Oh man, I was in it. I don't remember the title,
Oh,
but
really?
yeah, I have one scene in one play, and Del Toro came up and spoke to me
Oh,
about the
wow.
scene. I
Sure.
told me how he wanted me to play this little bit nothing part, and he was so nice. He was so nice, and it's funny because he comes across as a nice guy in interviews, and I got to
Sure.
tell you, I saw him in person. That guy's a super nice, sweet guy that really wants to make good movies.
Yeah, I love his imagination whenever it has his name, because I'm a big visual guy. I love, Pan's Labyrinth for me is a wonderful yet gut punch of a film, but visually, it's just imaginative. You're just like, wow. You watch that again, and you're just like, see something different every time.
I still haven't
But
seen it. That's one I
oh,
have to see.
just got to be in the right mindset because it's not exactly a her a uplifting film, so to speak.
Fair enough.
but
Oh,
but
and the
it
show was called The Strain. Sorry, I
yeah,
do
the
remember.
strain. There you go. Yeah, the strain.
I'm in the first episode
Oh, nice.
for like 2 seconds.
Uh,
It's nice.
I'll have to look for you. I bet that's on my list of stuff to watch of his because I got to try to catch up. Because I love his style and I think he's just a very creative individual. And you're right, he's revitalized a number of genres that you thought maybe were dead. And we need more filmmakers like that, and filmmakers like yourself, sir, making fun movies. Now, you're right, some of these films take themselves too serious even in the indie scene, and you can tell you're having fun. I think that comes across with Ouija Shark too. You said you've got a couple projects coming up. Is there somewhere where people can keep up with your stuff?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter as just John Migliore.
Okay.
So Migliore, Migliore. I'm sure they'll listen to that over and over again just to get it right. But I'm on Twitter. If you look up Ouija Shark, you probably find me. And I'm on Facebook, of course, and
Mhm.
that's about it. I'm not a
Sure.
big social media guy, but I
Mhm.
keep a couple open just to interact with people. So
Well, I am very happy I got a chance to interact with you because I really enjoyed this one. I enjoyed the first one. I would say this is one where I had even more fun with the sequel because you got miniatures, you got a battle between a shark and a gator, you got demons, you got everything in this, folks. A musical number, you've got ape soldier.
I love
they
when it was released. I love when it was released in Japan that they kept making references over and over. Like a number of lots of different people kept saying, "This is like Top Gun Maverick of cheesy shark movies." And I'm like, "Yes,
with with so many cheesy shark movies out there, that is a compliment. I will say, yes,
absolutely."
absolutely. Would that make you Tom Cruise then?
Well, I'm a little taller than him, just a
just
little,
just a
and
little.
I haven't jumped off any cliffs lately. So
Oh, well, yeah, you save that for the next film, right? You jump off instead of a cliff, though. You'll jump off a shark head. There you go, the Ouija shark. You can run up him
I'll
and
jump
jump
off
off.
a chair in front of my green screen.
There you go, and make it look like you're jumping off the shark. I'd watch it. Well, thank you so much, folks. Check it out. Ouija Shark 2 is out on digital July 25th, I do believe. So if you like your cheesy micro budget stuff that just has fun, that's definitely Ouija Shark, and it is I find so much charm in it. It's great. And thank you for taking time to talk, sir. Glad we
Thank
could
you
get
for
this to
having me.
work. You bet.
Yeah.